If you've been around my channel for a bit, then it should be no surprise that I love playing games on my Nintendo Switch and finding new stuff to add to the collection. I'll even admit that I get a bit crazy nowadays with hoping that every game under the sun manages to eventually make it to the console. While I realize that this is being a little ambitious, I have had a great time seeing once PC exclusives added to the Switch's library. Case in point, the game that I wish to cover today is an indie title named Death Row to Canada that I am glad made its way to current gen consoles recently. With that being said, let's dive in. Death Row to Canada is a randomly generated action RPG developed by Rocket Cat Games and Mad Garden. Set during a zombie apocalypse, your objective is simple. Beginning your adventure in Florida, you must make your way across the zombie-infested United States to Canada, the only place in the world not affected by the living dead. Though the journey is a harsh one and filled with death as the title states, as long as you have at least one surviving person in your party, the dream of reaching Canada lives on. Gameplay is basically split into two parts, traveling on the road and exploring for supplies. The first part is very reminiscent of the old school game Oregon Trail, in which all your stats are displayed on screen and you are told how much resources such as food and gas are being used by your party. Not only that, but during these travel sections you also experience random events that give shape to your adventure. From being looted by bandits to find a new vehicle along the road, the seemingly endless amount of events really serve to shake things up and take each game in a new direction. However, that is not to say that you lack any control of your journey, as the exploration part of the game puts you in direct control of your character for dungeon crawler type gameplay. During these sections, you equip yourself with all manner of weapons and then do your best to lead your ragtag group of survivors through hordes of the undead, who you must fight off as you search for resources. If you manage to survive these encounters, then you take your spoils, hit the road once again, and continue on with your journey. The game alternates between these two types of gameplay until you either reach the magical land of Canada or all party members die, resulting in a game over. Now, when it comes to things that I like about this game, there are quite a few. One thing that I like is that the game is quite simple and easy to grasp. Story-wise, the plot is as straightforward as can be, with the whole thing being summarized as zombies have taken over the world, do whatever it takes to reach the safety of Canada. It may not be anything fancy, but I appreciate the simplicity. Likewise, the gameplay is also quite simple. When you're traveling down the death road, the game is as easy as clicking through the dialogue and making the occasional decision when it presents itself. As for gameplay during the exploration bit, you can control your character's movements, as well as attack, switch weapons, and use stuff in the environment / open doors. Though there is some inventory management as well as RPG elements like leveling different stats and skills, I feel that nothing ever gets too complicated. Another thing that I like is the randomization aspect. If the game was about traveling down the same road the same way each time, then I am sure that it would get boring quite fast. However, due to the fact that everything from events to character personalities to locations is randomly generated, each time you play feels different. This of course results in really high replay value because even if you manage to beat the game once, another run could be a totally new experience with stuff you haven't encountered before. Speaking of the experience, I like that despite its grim setting, the game never takes itself too seriously and always has a hint of humor to it. With its cheery music, humorous text, and the ability to make your own goofy looking character, the game feels like it's basically saying, sure the world is screwed, but that doesn't mean we can't have some fun along the way. And in case you think that's just me reading into it in a weird way, tell me I'm wrong when some of the other survivors you can meet include an anime girl with a magic wand, a very clear ripoff of Link, and even a panda. The final thing I want to talk about that I like about the game is the ability to play with a second person. While this review has been for the version on the Nintendo Switch, and games with couch co-op are nothing new to the console, I still appreciate the fact that the game lets you play with a friend. The game may not be perfect and can be a bit finicky sometimes, what with one player being forced to stay caught up with whoever's the party leader, but I still found it to be fun to play with someone else whenever I tried. With that being said, I'd like to quickly point out something about the game I didn't like. While earlier I praised the fact that the game has high replay value due to it being randomly generated, that aspect is kind of a double-edged sword, as sometimes it can also screw you over. By this I mean that while you may find yourself with a run that is going perfectly fine, and you feel like you've done all the right decisions, one disastrous event or a zombie-infested room you didn't see coming can destroy all of that in an instant. In that sense, the game can be quite frustrating, as it may make it feel like luck, not skill, is the biggest factor in success. I myself have found this to be quite annoying, but then again, I guess maybe it can be chalked up to trying to keep the game spontaneous and balanced. Regardless, despite how it can be a bit frustrating at times with stuff that seems to come out of nowhere, I have still had quite a bit of fun with Death Road to Canada. If you're looking for a quirky little title you can jump into for a bit when you have some time on your hands, then I definitely recommend it. But hey, that's just my opinion. And remember, don't take anything I say too seriously. After all, I'm just a wannabe reviewer. Thanks for watching.